Tyler O'Neill's been a strong asset to the Boston Red Sox offense this year, but is he somebody that the Red Sox will hang on to after this season? More on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part is it's completely free. So you might as well tune in because Locked On is here for you with your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Red Sox, the show where I like to say your emotions are matched. I mean, if you are anything like me, that means you're the type of fan whose mood gets determined by whether the Red Sox win or lose. I know it can be sometimes unhealthy, but if you're a newbie and you're looking to stick to a show where you can feel those types of emotions, this is absolutely the show for you. And I just dive into a lot of different things related to this Red Sox team, a team that right now is very much in the wild card hunt and looking to get themselves in a position to make a run this season. And on paper, it doesn't look like the Red Sox are a team that could compete with some of the more competitive teams in the AL, but that's the fun thing about baseball is once the postseason hits, you never know what's going to happen. You just have to get in. And that's the biggest key here is just getting in. And then once you get in, anything can happen really. So the Red Sox definitely have that mentality when it comes to the postseason this year. And the players that they decided to keep at the trade deadline, like Kenley Jansen, Nick Pivetta, Tyler O'Neill, are definitely big factors in why they've been able to be successful this year. And on today's show, I'm going to be diving into Tyler O'Neill and what his future could look like with the Boston Red Sox. Also going to be touching on a little bit of the starting pitching struggles that have gone on as of late and why that could be. And also the potential return of Liam Hendriks and the difference that could make for this Red Sox team. And when you look at the roster right now, the Red Sox are very much in the mode of trying to get themselves younger, try to build a sustainable future, a group of players who will come together and be the future of the organization, like Wilyer Abreu, Cedar Rafaela, Jarren Duran, David Hamilton, the big four when they come up of Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Kyle Teal, guys who will make an impact in the future of this Red Sox organization. And they do have some guys who are pending free agents on this roster, Tyler O'Neill being one of them. So his name was tossed around a lot around the trade deadline as somebody who potentially could be on the move that the Red Sox maybe wanted to trade, knowing they have a crowded outfield room right now with another player coming up in the next couple of years, which I mentioned in Roman Anthony. So people thought that there was a chance the Red Sox weren't going to keep him for the rest of this season. They were going to just move him so that he doesn't just walk in free agency. But they decided to keep him. They wanted to keep everybody who's currently on this major league roster together because these guys have really helped contribute towards making this team a better one than expected going into the season. And O'Neill very much can take a lot of credit for being part of that for this Red Sox team. He provides versatility in terms of being a right-handed bat and provides power at his spot in the lineup because the Red Sox don't have a lot of hitters who just crush home runs as regularly as Tyler O'Neill does. And it just provides that power bat that the Red Sox really needed there in the middle of the lineup. So the question now becomes, when the Red Sox season is over and they're looking ahead to next year and what they want the roster to look like, is there a spot for Tyler O'Neill? Now, I'm going to be going over both why they might move him and also why they might not. There are reasons for both scenarios here. So, them deciding to not bring him back in free agency would be understandable because of the fact that they have Jarren Duran, who obviously is a player worth keeping around for a very long time. He just has so many different tools and skills that he brings to the table for this team. And then you also have Cedar Rafaela and Wilyer Abreu, both guys who are in the mix for Rookie of the Year this year. Wilyer Abreu is playing slightly better in terms of his offensive numbers right now, but at the same time, Rafaela provides versatility in terms of his ability to get on the base paths quickly because of his speed and travel fast when trying to score. And he has the ability to play in the infield and the outfield. So he provides a little bit more versatility in his game. But Wilyer Abreu's bat has just been very good this year. So one of those two will occupy a spot in the outfield. Maybe they both will, but then with Roman Anthony coming up, then you have to wonder which one of them do the Red Sox see as not being worth keeping around for the future on this team. So ultimately, in a couple of years here, there won't really be room for Tyler O'Neill on the roster because they have this talented outfield class that they would want to develop and continue to keep around because they'll be the future of the team. So what does that mean for Tyler O'Neill? I mean, the downside to letting him walk and go somewhere else in free agency is you lose that right-handed bat. And the Red Sox are low on right-handed hitting in this lineup as it is. And their lefties that they have for sure are very good offensive players. The Red Sox offense is very talented overall, but you do need some of that balance with the righties in there. So letting him walk makes sense from the standpoint of the future and the overcrowded outfield sector that they have. But at the same time, keeping him past this year and maybe committing to him for another 2 or 3 years keeps that right-handed bat in the lineup. So I don't really feel like the Red Sox will keep him because I feel like they know that they have a solid group of outfielders right now in Rafaela, Abreu, and Duran. And then once Roman Anthony comes up, they'll kind of figure out where they're at that point and who makes sense to keep around and who doesn't. But after this season, because of how well Abreu and Rafaela have been playing, I think that ultimately will be the deciding factor that causes the Red Sox to say, yeah, we don't need to bring back Tyler O'Neill, because they do have that extra outfielder in Rob Repsnyder who can stick around to hopefully just be the fill-in guy when one of those outfielders needs a day off or if one of them gets injured. So you already have that factor there. So keeping Tyler O'Neill would, for the Red Sox, cause a little bit of complications when it comes to playing time in that outfield. And Roman Anthony is a little bit far off. I mean, probably 2025 late or maybe 2026 will be when he gets called up to the Red Sox. And there's just a lot of talent in the outfield right now to the point where it doesn't make sense to keep O'Neill fully. I do think if they let him walk in free agency this year, they need to acquire another right-handed bat to start the 2025 season so that they can replace that right-handed versatility that he provided. But I could see the Red Sox saying we don't really need him this year and beyond because we have these two players who have very much been in the Rookie of the Year conversation that are going to be key pieces for us moving forward. And we have just this huge special talent in Jarren Duran. So I think they move him. I don't think they keep him around. I think he'll just go elsewhere when he does become a free agent. But he has definitely been a pleasure to have on this Red Sox team this year. He's somebody who provides very good defense out there. And again, the home runs go unmatched with other players on this Red Sox team besides Rafael Devers, who just is the face of the franchise. So obviously we know he is going to be somebody who sticks around for a very long time, hopefully his whole career. But The Red Sox, if they do decide to re-sign O'Neill, I think the driving factor will be that he's a right-handed bat, and the Red Sox can't really afford to lose a right-handed bat unless they know they'll be able to replace him. So in summary, I think he's gone. I don't think we see Tyler O'Neill in a Red Sox uniform after this season. I think it makes not as much sense as it does to let him go to keep him. So I think he goes elsewhere, but the Red Sox outfield is definitely in very good hands, even if they don't re-sign O'Neill. But time will tell next few months once the season's over and free agency hits, then we'll really find out where the Red Sox heads are at when it comes to the Tyler O'Neill situation. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about an area of this Boston Red Sox team that has been surprisingly struggling lately on the top end, and that's starting pitching. So that's coming up next. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trademaster program. Every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. It's definitely always a good idea to make sure you are over-prepared with your electrical supplies, so check out Supply House today. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So many talented hosts here at Locked On, so you really can't go wrong with any of our shows, but highly recommend Locked On MLB. The Boston Red Sox, as a pitching staff, had a very dominant first half of the season. They started off very strong. The starting rotation was getting the job done, producing a lot of quality starts, and the offense didn't need to put up 6 or 7 runs every night in order for the team to come out with wins. But since the All-Star break, that has not been the case. Red Sox pitchers have an ERA of over 6 since the All-Star break. It was 3.64 prior to the All-Star break, and something changed. A lot of that has to do with fatigue of the bullpen. Several guys who are being overworked because of Chris Martin and Justin Slayton not being healthy. So Alex Cora didn't have as many options out of the pen. Now that hopefully will be fixed since Craig Breslow added Louis Garcia and Lucas Sims to the pen. So it doesn't force all these other guys to be thrown in there every single day, the same players over and over again, doing their best to eat innings, but not being able to do that as much because they're just exhausted from throwing so much. So hopefully that'll help a little bit with resolving that problem. Plus, Chris Martin is scheduled to come back hopefully tomorrow. The original plan was for him to do a rehab start tomorrow, but now Alex Cora is saying he might skip the rehab start and just immediately come back to impact the major league team, which would be huge and a massive upgrade for this bullpen. So that should hopefully help with the bullpen staying on track as the season moves forward here. But the starting pitching definitely has been a huge letdown since the All-Star break compared to what they were in the first half. Tanner Houck, who was having a Cy Young caliber season in the first half, has been struggling as of late. Alex Cora didn't seem very concerned about it when he was talking about it, but Houck has been struggling more so lately. He's allowed 3 runs or more in each of his last 4 starts, including 6 to the Rangers over 5 innings in Texas on a Saturday. He also hasn't pitched beyond 6 innings in over a month, which obviously is a trend that the Red Sox don't want to see from him because he was doing so well this year with being able to pitch deeper into games and get through more innings cleanly. And now he's slipping back into that habit of struggling the third time through the order, which we definitely do not want to see. Fatigue definitely could be part of it because he set a new season high for innings last season with 106, and he's now at 134 for this year. So the workload has been increased a lot for him. So he might just not be used to pitching for as long a periods of time as he is pitching this year because the Red Sox have been able to push him to pitch more and they can get more out of him on a game-to-game basis when he's starting. So that could very much be a factor in it. Alex Cora doesn't think that he's struggling as much as people are thinking he is. He was pointing out that he still had some good pitches that he threw in that loss against Texas. He felt like Houck's slider was still really good in that game. And it happened fairly quickly against the bottom of the order because the 8 and 9 hitters crushed back-to-back home runs. But Cora still felt like he threw the ball well in that game. So Houck is now at the point where he's thinking like Cora. He's trying to just think positive and was saying how he was pleased with his pitch mix in the game against the Rangers and thought he took strides in the right direction. I mean, I hope so. I hope that he's able to step it back up and get back to where he was in the first half because he was almost untouchable in the first half and was throwing the way that Red Sox fans wanted to see. And he mentioned how he felt like he threw 72% strikes and 68% first pitch strikes and feels like if he continues to have that every start, then that'd be a quality start each and every time he pitches. He did hold the Rangers scoreless through the first 3 innings of that game, and I thought that he was back to full form Tanner Houck at that point, but it was in the 4th inning with 2 outs when the Rangers started figuring him out, which was unfortunate because the Red Sox had a 3-0 lead at the time, and that gave the Rangers a 4-3 advantage. So overall, Cora and Houck are not very concerned about his performances as of late. They don't think it'll be something that continues. They think he'll get himself back on track, but it definitely has been tough as of late to see him trying to go out there and pitch and not really having the success that he had early on. Kutter Crawford also has been struggling for this Red Sox team too. He struggled exceptionally in his start against the Rangers, allowing 4 home runs, which catapulted his total to 12 of those across just 3 starts. This is an unfortunate achievement that marked a historical low, as no modern pitcher had previously allowed that many home runs within such a short span. His disastrous outing was just compounded by his previous performances when he gave up 5 home runs against the Dodgers, followed by 3 home runs in his next start against the Yankees. Despite his setbacks, the Red Sox did still win that game 11-6, driven by their offense that has bailed out the pitching staff a lot lately. But Kutter Crawford certainly is somebody who looked better in the first half than he does now. And he was somebody who I kept reiterating that I had to see more of going into the season before I declare that he's some great pitcher who can be one of the best starters in this Red Sox rotation. And early on in the season, he certainly was showing that he had the capability to be one of the best starters on this team. And then now, since the All-Star break, something fell off for him too. And he's been giving up more and more home runs and trying too hard to keep his pitches in the zone when he's not finding as much success with that. So something has changed with those 2 starting pitchers. I definitely think fatigue is a possibility, but they seem to have lost some of their mechanics in terms of what worked for them and what they found to be successful early on in the season. Andrew Bailey definitely has a good system for these pitchers, and I think he's looking for long-term success for each of them. So he's working with them to make them better now and for the future for this Red Sox team. So I'm interested in seeing both of them in their next starts each and see if they're able to bounce back, because we definitely can't afford for those two to be slipping back and not pitching well if we want this team to make the playoffs and make a decent run. Because if those two guys are off, it's going to be very difficult for this team to win games, because it's forcing the offense to score tons of runs every night. And that's just not a fair position to put them in, because sometimes the offense won't have it. And if the offense doesn't have it and they're only able to score 1 or 2 runs in that game, they should be able to rely on their 1 and 2 starters to get the job done. And it makes you start to wonder, did the Red Sox drop the ball by not acquiring a high-end starting pitcher at the trade deadline? I still feel like they have their ace in Tanner Houck. I just think he's hit some bumps in the roads and he needs to get back on track quickly. But if he doesn't and Kutter Crawford also doesn't, then people are going to be looking at Craig Breslow and saying, you should have acquired a high-end starting pitcher who could be reliable. And it will be a really bad look on him if they don't turn things around, and he didn't do that. So we definitely absolutely need them to get back on track for a potential playoff run. So I'm hoping that they do get back on track soon, because they owe it to themselves and their teammates. And I know Andrew Bailey probably has seen the ups and downs lately with these two players, and I'm sure knows that it's fixable. I just hope that it gets fixed sooner rather than later. But coming up, I'm going to be talking about a pitcher who hopefully is going to be joining the Red Sox soon that could help solve some of the problems, at least from a relieving standpoint. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. FanDuel is a great way to win tons of money. I know lots of people that are close to me who have found a lot of success making bets with it. So that can be you if you want to win lots of money right now, and you can bet on a lot of different sports. So make sure you head to FanDuel today. I've talked a lot about the struggles that the Red Sox pitching staff as a whole has faced since the All-Star break. Lots of guys who might be feeling like they've been overworked. Tanner Houck, who might need to just get acclimated to pitching more and just putting together more innings, because this is the first year that the Red Sox have really been able to push him to seeing lineups the third time through and actually pitching 6 to 7 full innings. He hasn't really done that in his career, so this could be something that just needs him acclimated to. He just needs the time to do that. And Kutter Crawford has just had such a problem lately with giving up the home runs, and that needs to get resolved ASAP. And the bullpen overall for sure has been struggling as a whole, but having Lucas Sims and Luis Garcia in there has helped to solve that problem, because it gives other guys a little bit more rest. And they have somebody coming back hopefully this month sometime in Liam Hendriks, who the Red Sox signed in the offseason to a 2-year, $10 million deal. He has spent all of this season recovering from Tommy John surgery that he had last August, which came after he battled cancer earlier in the year. So just a really tough year for him, but he is recovering and nearing his return to action. He's expected to throw live batting practice 3 times in the next week or so. And if there are no setbacks, he'll then begin a rehab assignment. Before Saturday's game against the Rangers, Alex Cora did speak on it and said, I don't know how long the rehab assignment will be. This is a huge step, but it's nothing for him compared to what he's gone through the last few years. we're getting close. How close, I don't know, but the fact he's throwing live batting practice next week is awesome. It's good news for everybody. It certainly is good news for the Red Sox because if he comes back and he's able to be any semblance of what he was prior to all of his obstacles that he went through, that's a huge piece for a playoff run out of the pen. In his 2 full seasons with the White Sox, he posted a 2.66 ERA and a .871 whip with a 13.8 strikeouts per 9 rate. If he can get anywhere close to that level when he returns to the field, that's a huge boost for the Red Sox, and hopefully he can be a 2-inning guy or so who can just be in the game for more than 1 inning to help carry the Red Sox, because he definitely has the talent. We've seen him pitch before with other teams and find success there. And I'm hoping that he can find that level of success again. It's hard to really know because you never know how a pitcher is going to look when they come back from something as serious as Tommy John, whether they're going to be the best version of themselves, like Chris Sale and his resurgence this season when he spent a lot of time injured in the last few years. And some of that was recovering from Tommy John. Or some pitchers might come back from Tommy John and be struggling. So they don't really know what he's going to be when he comes back. But the idea of having him back and having another solid arm in there who can come and contribute out of a Red Sox bullpen that definitely needs some guys to be able to rest, like a Zach Kelly, Cam Boozer, Josh Winkowski, Brennan Bernardino, guys who have been used repeatedly over and over again lately. Having Hendriks come back in there allows another arm to pitch in relief to give some of those guys the rest they need so that they don't continue to be fatigued when they're out there, because we need the bullpen to be at its best come playoff time if this team is going to make a serious run. And so in order for us to have that happen, their bullpen needs to be rested. And that's what Liam Hendriks can provide, is something to allow those guys to be able to rest and not feel like they're going to be put into the game every single day. And Hendriks also provides a fantastic attitude, just a guy who truly knows what it's like to go through something that you don't know if you're going to be able to get past and be able to turn it around and come back out onto the baseball field. Just shows the resiliency and the type of person he is. And baseball teams want that around their clubhouse. They want guys who have really seen it all and been through it all, know how precious life is, and know not to take anything for granted, and just are able to persevere through any hardships that come their way. And for some of the young guys in this Red Sox clubhouse, that will be a great resource for them if they're ever struggling, going through a slump on the field where they have a few bad games in a row. He's somebody who can come in and provide them with the guidance that they might need to be able to get back on track after that. So his attitude alone and everything he's been through and the way he's been able to overcome all of these challenges is one big thing for me that could be a game changer for this Red Sox clubhouse, and also the experience that he provides, just coming in with a wealth of knowledge about pitching and coming into this Red Sox bullpen and being ready to step into whatever role this team needs him to do. That's fantastic. Whether they need him to be the bridge guy in the 8th inning because maybe Chris Martin's struggling, or he were to get hurt again, or he's a 6 to 7 inning guy who comes in when the starter might be struggling or needs to be pulled, and he comes in as that guy who takes over for the starter and then maybe pitches another inning again after that if he looks good. Or he could be a high leverage guy who comes in with the bases loaded and no outs and needs to try to navigate that situation. There are a lot of different roles that Liam Hendriks could be utilized in. And I think when people talk about the Red Sox bullpen right now and just how bad they have been overall as of late, it's important to note that he's going to be coming back. And on Sunday against the Rangers, I mean, the bullpen looked very good and did their job. So we're already starting to see the effects of adding Sims and Garcia in there, guys who, again, are experienced and just have arms available to be able for Alex Cora to throw them out there, because when you look at the Red Sox bullpen right now it allows for guys like Zach Kelly and Cam Boozer, who were used pretty regularly because they had to be, to rest for a couple days before they are used again, and then they'll be available and can pitch better because they got the appropriate amount of rest. So acquiring a couple key relievers at the deadline, as well as getting Hendriks back, will hopefully help fix this problem that the Red Sox are going through in terms of the pitching staff right now. And the starting rotation as a whole just needs to get back to where they were in the first half. Tanner Houck and Kutter Crawford in particular, because they were seriously struggling as of late and just are not themselves. They have not looked like the same pitchers that we've seen in the first half. So hopefully they can figure out how to get themselves back on track. But in Andrew Bailey, we trust. I feel like he knows how to really connect with and relate to these guys. He knows how to help them figure out what they need to do to change their mechanics to get themselves back on track to where they need to be and not continue to struggle. So I'm hoping that he is able to help figure out what's going on really with Houck and Crawford, and that they can get themselves back on track. Liam Hendriks coming back would be very exciting for this bullpen and would just be another piece that would enhance their chances of being able to make a playoff run. You just have to get in, and then you really don't know what's going to happen. But that's what makes baseball as fun as it is. And that's why I just love watching it as much as I do, because any team could get hot at the right time and go all the way. Just use last year's Diamondbacks as an example. They clicked at the exact right time, went into the playoffs, and just made this run and went to the World Series. And I don't think a lot of people thought they would go to the World Series. So really, truly anything can happen. If the pitching staff can figure it out and be locked in, then this will be a tough team to compete with because of how good the offense is right now. So should be a fun next couple months here. The Red Sox just have to keep picking up series wins, and they can do that if they just have everybody doing the job that they are supposed to be doing and that they did in the entire first half of the season and this last month of June into July before the All-Star break. If they could get back to being that team, that's the team that has a very good shot to compete in the postseason. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. Now make sure you go check out the Locked On MLB podcast, where you can prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure that you go to Sully and he'll keep you up to date on everything going on with all of the other teams across the league. So as always, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.